There's a lot of cope going around with Highguard flopping and failing so miserably. And my goodness, the gaslighting. I have to give credit to these journal outlets that are just so steadfast and pushing the agenda. No matter how wrong they are, they just double down and triple down and continue to just great bait, mate. Highguard didn't flop. What? This is a real article published 2 hours ago as of recording by Tyler Wilde on PC Gamer. Most games aren't massive hits, but publishers, developers, and investors remain exceedingly hopeful that they'll be the exception. What even is this? It's surprising to hear how expected the Highguard studio was before launch. Despite running no public playtests, the mood ahead of the Game Awards reveal was that the competitive shooter would likely be a major hit, according to a former employee of the now diminished studio, which would explain why they are coping so hard right now. It's not any particular feature of Highguard that makes me think the confidence was misplaced. It's just the fact that most new shooters aren't massive hits. Where did anyone get the idea that there are sure things? What is this straw man argument? No one went into it saying every shooter is going to be successful. Where did this come from? Even Fortnite, the model for the modern FPS live service mega hit, was shrugged off by the public before Epic's famous pivot to Battle Royale. So what you're admitting here is that this is typical for gaming culture and games need to adapt and adjust to fit what people want, and the ones that don't fall by the wayside and fail? Weird. Okay. Most have not been so lucky, and it hasn't mattered how successful they've previously been or even how good anyone thinks their game is. Remember Gears of War designer Cliff Belinsky's Lawbreakers? No, I don't. I thought it was fun. It wasn't a hit, and neither was Blazinski's also fun Battle Royale pivot attempt, Radical Heights. Never heard of it. That studio's long gone. Okay. Again, the article is titled Highguard Didn't Flop. I don't understand what you're getting at here. As pointlessly rabid as the social media response to Highguard has been, pointlessly rabid? My guy, it's under 2,000 concurrent players just over 2 weeks after launch for a free-to-play game. Pointlessly rabid? This is a massive story for the history of the game industry. This will be looked back upon. Pointlessly rabid? What? I can't even get past that. As the social media response to Highguard has been, I don't think the internet's recreational cruelty is to blame for the modest player base. Oh, okay. I don't think any deep analysis at all is required to understand why Highguard isn't a huge hit. It's a decent game. Morgan gave it a 65 in his review. The same Morgan that said that Assassin's Creed Shadows is awesome and Star Wars Outlaws is amazing and Concord is great. You can't wait to get back into it. That same Morgan Park. But even if it had been a great game, it wouldn't necessarily have blown up like Arc Raiders because most games don't. Again, I'm waiting for some sort of deep intel dropping on me, like news information that, okay. Don't hold your breath. Cool new shooters of every variety release every year. And the default state for them is no matter how good they are or how much money was spent to develop them is not millions of players. Here are some examples. Again, I don't care. What? Why do these? Oh my God. This is cope from journalists that are trying to strawman and redirect to say, hey, it's not as bad as you guys thought it was because look at all these other games that are terrible. Instead of giving the honest story and truthful perspective of why this was such a massive catastrophe, of why Wildlight Studios was doomed from beginning after this game launched with their over 100 people working for the company at the studio. And some have alleged, and I would agree with, somewhere between 500 million, 500,000 and $1 million monthly in salary expenses. That is a lot of money to be spending for a game that's not a sure thing. I guess you can do what you want with your money if you're an investor, but that's not necessarily something that I'd feel great about, especially in this environment. The couple thousand concurrent Steam players Highguard has right now puts it in the league with those games. And why would it be in a different league? Because the developers worked on Apex Legends. Ubisoft's X Defiant was led by Mark Rubin, whose credit include Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, games that Defiant. No. The reason why that this game is being put in a different league is because more people worked at the studio on it for longer periods of time. More money was put into this game, equaling more expectations coming out of it. Where's the research on any of these studios on the amount of people and money that got put into them relative to Wildlight and Highguard? Because this is an apples to orange comparison, trying to make it seem like it's just one of those games. That's like saying Concord was just like these games. Concord had allegedly, $400+ million into development, plus another $400 million in Sony purchasing Firewalk Studios. Probably Monsters turned into Firewalk Studios. We're talking nearly $1 billion for that game. You're going to put that in the same rank as these because it's a live service game? What? And remember Rocket Arena, the shooter EA launched in 2020 and took off sale in 2023? Probably not. But the studio behind it was founded by top designer of Halo 4 and 5. It wasn't a big deal. Most games aren't. How much money went into it? That's a big factor on it. The Rocket Arena studio, Final Strike, is still around, though. It worked on Fortnite's OG season and is now apparently has a new tactical shooter in development. There are other studios like it. Diabolical, epic exclusive arena shooter with origins in the pro Quake scene, didn't really break into the mainstream. But GD Studio had gone on to release roguelike spin-offs on Steam. Keeping a studio going and perhaps one day iterating your way into hit territory may be the only kind of success it's reasonable to shoot for. Almost half of the games released on Steam last year received fewer than 10 reviews. Highguard has done quite well by comparison. It's only a flop next to the very rare games that are immediately massive hits. I got to be honest, I'm reading this article. I'm actually feeling dumber reading this, that the person who put this together is an idiot. What argument are they even making? Alas, despite telling us just before launch that Highguard didn't need, quote, super huge player counts to succeed, the studio was clearly betting on it being one of those exceptional games because a normal launch wasn't enough to keep most of its staff employed. I hope they all land on their feet. Tyler Wilde. What in this article proves your title, sir? Highguard didn't flop. How do you define flop? Because I would argue we're at 1,900 and dropping 1,800. It's not even 10 p.m. yet on the West Coast. We're at 9:47 p.m. on a Thursday night, 2 weeks after launch, and they can't even have 1,900 concurrent players. What are we doing here? In response to Paul Tassi saying, Jesus, it was really Concord 2. I'm being literal, not trying to be insensitive, but this is just wild. Again, Paul, where were you when everyone was telling you that's exactly what was happening with this game? Like, amazing. You had to wait for the layoffs to be like, oh my God, the Chuds were right. Again. Jacob Novak, who, if you're not familiar with, CEO and Emmy Award-winning Genvid, previously Square Enix Holdings, says, it's not about the expectations for their sales, but two other factors: ongoing burn coverage, realistic ability for the game to recover its player count. Even if you have a lot of burn left, if you don't believe the game can recover its player count, and Highguard was not looking likely to do so, the right thing for the studio to do is lay off the large team and restart with a new prototype project. You can't keep a large dev team indie for the sake of employment. And if you have a lot of artists and engineers working on a dead game while you prototype something new, As a studio head, your responsibility is to the studio. Put another way, you would never hire that level of staff if you were just starting a prototype at a studio, aka sunken cost fallacy, which while we're talking about these journalistic outlets out there, we had this post today too. IGN, this is reminder, within 24 hours after Wildlight announced the layoffs at Highguard, they posted their review. Highguard's compelling gunplay, impressive pace of updates, and killer raid mode have made its exciting attack and defend encounters quite memorable, even if the version we have right now feels a bit like a rough draft. This is pure comedy. Giving it a IGN Concord 7. Because, yes, that's the same score that Concord got. The Concord 7, which Veridark posted. Interesting timing, IGN. Concord. Concord isn't the most innovative or content-heavy hero shooter you could play, but with such fantastic competitive gameplay, 16 compelling characters to master, and 12 well-designed maps, it's got the makings of something that could go the distance in the months and years to come. It didn't last 2 weeks. 7. Tebow, y'all waited till the game was on the verge of shutdown and you gave it a 7? The review literally lasted longer than the studio. That's amazing. We'll leave it at this. We got Teresa Taya Rozumkova. I've just been laid off from Highguard, where I worked as a senior 3D character outsource manager. I have about 60 days to find a new job in the US. Over the past year, I built and owned Highguard's 3D character and mount cosmetics outsourcing pipeline. I shipped 30 skins for blah, 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 all this other stuff. Great. I'm actively looking for a role in the US or EU. Quote tweeted by Savvy. 60 days to get hired by American companies that are all laying off. The studio is shutting down, but honestly, this is a blessing. You don't belong here, and your position shouldn't be standardized. Whew. Savage Savvy, back again. You email people in poorer countries to outsource work who get hired by others, thus creating a very samey look across games. Your salary and probably several others could have gone to pay for a 3D artist / rigger combo. Y'all even had a director of office culture? That's 2 salaries right there that can afford a very good artist. I shipped 30 skins. We aren't going to play resume games. You emailed people who did actual work. You sat in your AC waiting around. Also, that's not impressive. Even 3D NFT artists move faster and made better looking crap. MR3D Dev says, an outsource manager is something that should not be at an indie company. Anyone from upper leadership can do this. Another example of throwing out money. Savvy said, yep, they had several wasted positions that could have hired a multi-talented 3D artist or 2 of them. She's also going on about making skins. I modded games for free, which meant making skins. It's basic. It's literally basic. Even what she shows as what she seems to be proud of, they're very basic. Can't agree more, to be honest. So this is the current situation with Highguard and the levels of cope and gaslighting going on. And again, trying to offload it onto the gamers, because apparently it's your responsibility to make sure that every game survives and succeeds. That's not, the math doesn't math. There's not enough people to do that. And even if there were, that's not how capitalism works. You can't just support everything. There's bad games out there too. There are games that don't deserve your time. That's just the reality. And apparently people that are new to this world don't understand the entertainment space, are very confused when they put time and effort and care. I'm not doubting that they worked hard on the game. I'm not doubting that. But they don't understand that there's a disconnect for when the game comes out and it doesn't match the expectations or desires of the people actually paying the money. You got a major problem there. Consumers are obligated to make any new company to become successful. I mean, again, I think the best comparison is just like what I do. You guys I love you guys. I really genuinely means the world to me that you're here. You owe nothing to me. Like nothing. This is like I like talking about games. You like hearing them. Sometimes I bring people on. We chat about games. It's just zero expectations. Hold on. I just noticed it has a community note now. Readers added context. Developers of Highguard laid off most of the team. Around 90% estimated just 60 days after release. This makes it a flop. Oh, man. I love community notes. It's amazing. And I replied, great bait, mate. Highguard's a success. Just look at those numbers of concurrent players on day 21. Massive profits. A huge success. Yeah. And now, actually, 1,700. This is like limbo. How low can it go? 1,700. Oh, my God. This time next week, it's going to be under 1,000. This game is cooked. It's done. Like, I know we already know that, but like, why are you keeping the studio around? Just you're wasting money. The money you're spending on the people working at the company right now to whatever the fuck they're doing to keep the lights on there, it's just throwing good money away at a bad situation. Like, what are you doing right now keeping Wildlight even open? It's crazy. Like, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars monthly. Hundreds. Even if they let go of 90% of their studio, still hundreds of thousands of dollars monthly to keep this going. They're not going to be making that back. That's just pissing money away. That's crazy. I would just say shut it down now too. Yep. Shut it down. Shut it all down. Crazy. Wow. I would say, if anything, Sony did something right with Concord is when they pulled the plug, they were like, we're pulling the plug. It's done. They're not going to try to pretend, play this, oh, maybe if this happens. They just pulled. They're like, no, it's done.